Good morning, students. Welcome to the lecture of real analysis. This was 11th lecture we are conducting today. Let us have a look on the concepts we have studied in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we have studied a definition of refinement of a partition. And the refinement of partition means that partition is said to be, partition P star is said to be a refinement of P if P is subset of P star. That is, every point of P is a point of P star. In the simple way, one can say that P star is a refinement of a given partition if it contains more number of points than the original partition P. Or we can say that P star refines P, or P star is finer than P. Okay. With the help of examples also we have discussed what is the refinement. The next concept is a norm. Norm is a concept we know it is related to length or distance, and therefore norm in the partition is defined to be the length of largest subinterval, and this is called as norm or mesh of a given partition, and we are using the symbol mu for the norm of given partition. Actually, it is not always feasible or possible for us to make the partitions of the given length with equal subintervals. In some examples, it is necessary for us to make the partitions of the given subinterval into subintervals of unequal width. Right? In that case, the length of largest subinterval, that is a subinterval having biggest length, okay, is called as the norm of the given partition. Therefore, mathematically we are defining this to be mu of P, that is norm of P, to be maximum among delta xi's. What delta xi's are? Delta xi's are the length of the subintervals of the given partition, where the value of I is running from 1 to n. Right? Later we have seen the important theorem that if P star is a refinement of P, then for a bounded function we have proved that LP star f is greater equal by LPF and UP star f is less equal by UPF. Actually, with the help of adding some extra points in the given partition, we have seen that whenever we increase the number of points so that it becomes a refinement of the given partition, then lower sum increases. Correct? Similarly, whenever we increase the number of points in the given partition, that is, with respect to refinement, the upper sum always decreases. That is, both the sums were trying to come towards the actual area bounded with the curve. Okay, and to prove the first statement, LP star f greater equal by LPF, we want to prove a statement like this. That is, LP star f minus LPF is non-negative, greater equal by 0. Similarly, for the second one, we have proved UP star f minus UPF is less than or equals to 0, that is non-positive. And in order to give the detailed proof of this statement, we have, instead of taking more number of points extra, we have taken only 1 point extra. Okay, why? Because adding all the points, more number of points simultaneously in the given partition, it was somewhat difficult for us to have the calculations, or lengthy calculations it could be. That's why to prove the given result, we have taken only 1 point extra in the refinement. Okay, and that point we have assumed to be zeta and is taken in the ith subinterval. Therefore, we have written xi minus 1 strictly less than zeta, strictly less than xi. Here we cannot take less or equal, because if it is equality zeta, if zeta is equal to xi minus 1, it will not bear extra point. Similarly, if zeta is equal to xi, also it will not bear extra point. Therefore, taking zeta strictly in between xi minus 1 to xi, we have defined a partition and its refinement. Then we have written corresponding infima values of the function in the 3 different subintervals. Then knowing the relation between the infimas of the function in these subintervals, and with few some simple steps, we have proved that LP star f minus LPF is greater equal by 0. Okay. This result was true if we take 1 extra point in the refinement. Therefore, one can say that if we take p number of points extra, then also repeating the same reasoning, same process p times, we arrive at the same conclusion. Okay. Now, the same result we have proved related to upper sums. Therefore, these are the symbols we have used for the suprema values of the function in the corresponding subintervals. This is what the relation between the supremas we have defined. Then with the similar steps as done in the previous part, we have proved that up star f minus upf is less than or equals to 0. Therefore, we have proved that up star f minus up star f is less equal by upf. Okay. Now let us start for today's lecture. Today we are taking lecture number 11, and in this lecture we are taking the corollary of the above theorem. Let me write the statement of the corollary. What the corollary says that if a refinement P star of T contains P points, small p I have written this, P points more than partition P. Capital P are the symbols we are using to the partitions, and these are the P number of points which are extra in the refinement. And mod of f of x is given to be bounded by k for all x in the given closed interval a to b. Then prove that. What to prove? LPF is less than or equals to LP star F, which is again less than or equals to LPF plus 2pk mu. Similarly, UPF greater equal by UP star F greater equal by UPF minus 2pk mu. Okay, we will try to understand the statement of the corollary, and then we will go for the proof. Okay, what corollary says that if the refinement P star of a given partition P contains P number of points extra or more than P, and K is the bound for the function, then we want to prove that LPF is less than or equals to LP star F less than or equals to this one. Let me call this as statement 1 and statement 2. Now in statement number 1, if we observe the inequality, there is a combination of two inequalities. In the first part of this inequality, we have proved already in the main theorem. Therefore, what requires to prove? Only this right part of the inequality. Okay. Now let us try to understand the meaning of every term we have used. 2pk mu are the three terms used. What is small p? Small p is
Number of partitions.
No, number of points extra.
Yes, ma'am.
In refinement P star, we are taking P points extra. Okay, that is, suppose this partition P contains 10 points. Then what will be the number of points in P star? This is 10 plus P. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What is K? K is given to be the bound of this function f of x. Okay, and what is mu? We have
Norm.
studied. It's a norm. Norm means the length of
Maximum subinterval.
length of largest subinterval. Largest will be the most suitable one. Okay. Now we will prove the first statement. No need to prove the left part of the inequality. Therefore, we are focusing only to prove the right part of the inequality. As it is the corollary of the statement, we should use the theorem. Now, in the theorem itself, we have proved LP star F minus LPF is some quantity. We will just recall what is the quantity we have proved. Yeah. Focus on this. Okay. What is the left hand side here? LP star F minus LPF. Shall I write here? This value is LP star F minus LPF. Okay. Now this equation we are going to use in order to prove our corollary. What the statement is? LP star F minus LPF, W1 minus Mi, zeta minus Xi minus 1 plus W2 minus Mi, Xi minus zeta. For the sake of convenience, I will call this as star 1 equation. Therefore, we will take this star 1 equation of the main theorem in order to prove our corollary. Similarly, for proving the second part, we are going to use this statement. Let me call it as star 2. Later, we are going to use in the second part. This is UP star f minus UP. Right? Therefore, now what I will write from or by previous theorem. By previous theorem, if P star contains 1 point extra, 1 point more than P, 1 point more than P, then we have proved that we will write that star one statement. Okay, so we have proved that L P star F minus LPF is equals to W1 minus Mi into zeta minus xi minus 1 plus W2 minus Mi into xi minus zeta. This is the statement we have proved by considering only 1 point extra. But here we have to prove the corollary for p points extra. Now we will check what is the effect of 1 point extra. Okay. Also, what is given to us is the bound. Correct now? Also, it is given that mod of f of x is less than or equals to k for all x in the closed interval AB. Okay. Now what I will do, I will just wanted to write that mod of f of x less than or equals to k means the f of x value lies between minus k to plus k. Now mi is the infima of the function. Correct na? Here I will write. What is mi? Infima of f in ith subinterval xi minus 1 to xi. What is w1? Infima of f in, yes, can anyone tell me? We have made the partitions, no, of xi minus 1 to xi by taking this zeta point extra. We have assumed that this w1 voice is audible, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, W1 is the infima we have assumed in this first subinterval, and W2 is the infima we have assumed in the second subinterval. Okay. Now, plus k are the lower bound and upper bound of the given function. Therefore, if I want to introduce mi and W1, what would be a relation between these terms? Minus k, mi, W1 and plus k. What is this relation we have established in the theorem mi and W1? Yes?
Less than equal to.
Less than or equals to. Now, what is the relation between W1 and K? K is the upper bound of the function on whole interval A to B. That of W1 is the infima of the function in xi minus 1 to zeta. That is in this first subinterval. Then what should be an obvious relation?
Strictly less than.
Less than or equals to. Good. K is an upper bound. This is lower bound, and we know whatever is the lower bound is always less equal by the upper bound. Okay. Same thing. This is the infima or lower bound for the function f of x. Therefore, this is lower bound. This is greatest lower bound. What would be a relation? Less than or equal. Correct? No? So this is the relation we have written. Now we will make use of this relation to find out what is the values of W1 minus mi and W2 minus mi. Now from this relation, it is not possible for us to find out what is the value of W1 minus mi. Therefore, what I will do, I will just break this inequality into two parts. Here I will make the break. Okay. And we will write the inequalities again. What is the inequality? Minus k less than or equals to EMI. The second is W1 is less than or equals to k. W1 is less than or equals to k. But what we want to find out the value W1 minus MI. But here we don't have MI. Therefore, what here we don't have minus MI. We have plus MI. Therefore, what I will do? We will multiply this by minus 1. What is the effect on the inequality if I multiply by minus 1? Minus
Equality
k.
changes.
Inequality changes. And what is the value here then? Is it minus EMI less than or equals to k? Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
This
Yes, ma'am.
inequality is given. Now, what I will do, I will just add these two inequalities in order to find out the value of W1 minus EMI. Okay. For adding the above two inequalities. Adding above inequalities. If I add this, this will be W1 minus MI. What is the right side? K and K, this will be 2K. K and K, this will be 2K. Let me call it as equation number 2. This I will call equation number 1. Okay. Therefore, what is the value of W1 minus MI we have obtained? Less than or equals to 2K. What do you think about W2 minus MI then? What is the value W2 minus MI? With the similar conclusion, may I say W2 minus MI will be the same kind of inequality. Similarly, W2 minus MI is less than or equals to 2K, and I will call this as statement number 3. Okay. Now what I will do, I will put both the values of 2 and 3 in this equation number 1. Okay. Thus, equation number 1 becomes. Why it becomes? Putting 2 and 3. Putting 2 and 3 in 1. Okay, then what the equation becomes? LP star here minus LP here. Oh, sorry, not equal to. Here it is equality, exact equality. But now we are replacing this term by less than or equals to 2K. This term by less than or equals to 2K. Therefore, equality changes to inequality, that is 2K. This term, there is no xi minus zeta and etc. Everything we have on the right is 2pk mu. Therefore, anyhow we will try to introduce mu in this right side. Okay, to introduce mu in the right hand side, what I will do, I will just take 2k common and we will add up the remaining quantities, and this gives us zeta minus xi minus 1 plus xi minus zeta cancels. We remains with xi minus 1. Therefore, may I write this as delta xi? Because delta xi is the length of ith subinterval. Okay, but what is delta xi? Delta xi is the length of one specific ith subinterval. What do you think? What is the relation between delta xi and mu?
Maximum of, ma'am. Mu equal to maximum of delta xi.
Good. Mu is maximum of delta xi. Therefore, what kind of inequality I should write here? Less equal or greater equal?
Less than.
Mu is
Less equal.
less equal. Delta xi is always less equal by mu. Mu is maximum among all such a delta xi. Therefore, what is the equality? What is the effect on this inequality? We have 2k mu. Okay. Now look at this statement we have proved. Okay, now I'll just shift this LPF to the right. So it gives me LP star F is less equal by LPF plus 2k mu. 2k mu. Okay, but what we want to prove? LP star F is LPF plus 2 pk mu. So 2 pk mu. P is not being introduced yet. We have proved it is 2k mu. Why this is so? Because the whole discussion is carried out by taking only 1 point extra. Therefore, one can write this inequality as 1 into 2k mu. 1 point we have taken extra. Therefore, this is 1 to 2k mu. Now, what we will do? We will add one more point extra. We will add one more point extra in the refinement, and we will calculate, or we will use the same procedure. Then what will be the effect on this inequality? One more 2k mu will get added. One more 2k mu will get added, and so that it will be 2 into 2k mu. Na? If I add 2, here I will write. This is 1 into 2k mu. If we add one more point extra, one more 2k mu will be get added. Therefore, this 1 2k mu and this 1 2k mu will give me 2 times 2k mu. Right? Okay. Therefore, if 1 point extra, this is 1 2k mu. If 2 point extra, this is 2 2k mu. If 3 points extra, this is 3 2k mu. Likewise, if I have in all p points extra, how many points are given to us extra? P points are given to us as an extra. Therefore, how many 2k mu's will be introduced?
P times 2k mu.
P.
Yes, this
P
is
2k mu.
P 2k mu. Therefore, here I will write now, supposing that each additional point is introduced one by one, comma, by repeating the above reasoning p times we get. By repeating the above reasoning, p times we get. What we will get? I will write LP star here is less equal by LP plus. Instead of 1 2k mu, I will write P into 2k mu. P into 2k mu. Okay, and that's why one can say LP star F less than or equals to LP plus 2pk mu. And hence this is the proof of the first statement. Any doubt with the first part of the proof?
No, ma'am.
Okay, shall we go for the next part? In the next part, we have to prove UP star F is greater equal by UP star F greater equal by UPF minus 2PQ. Again, we are not going to prove the left part because we have done it in the previous theorem. Okay, we will focus on the right part. Oh, sorry. Here, before writing hence the proof, what should I write? I have to write the left part of this inequality. Na? Therefore, LPF less than or equals to LP star F less than or equals to LPF plus 2pk mu, and hence here it is, hence the proof. Actually, this corollary is helping us to tell that up to what extent one can increase the lower sum, because whenever we are adding extra points in the partition, lower sum is increasing. Okay, therefore the lower sum with respect to P star can be increased maximum up to 2pk mu. This is what the corollary is saying. Okay, that is lower sum with respect to the partition can be increased by the term 2pk mu. P the number of points extra, k is the bound, mu is the length of largest subinterval. Every concept is known to us. Therefore, we can find out by how much value the lower sum could be increased. Okay, whenever we have the refinement of the given partition. Okay, Now let us proceed with the proving the second part of the statement. Therefore, again we will write by previous theorem. If P star contains one point extra or 1 point more than P, then we have proved that. What we have proved? Now which statement we have to use? That star 2 statement. Correct now? Let me write star 2. Let me just recall. Where is star 2? Here is the star 2 we have written. UP star F minus UP is W1 minus MI, zeta minus XI minus 1 plus W2 minus MI, XI minus zeta. Okay? Therefore, by star 2 statement, UP star F minus UPF is equals to W1 minus MI zeta minus xi minus 1 plus W2 minus mi into xi minus zeta. Okay, I think this is the fourth statement we are using. And here I will write from star to. Okay, now again, very similar to this step. This step, we will try to find out the value W1 minus mi, W2 minus mi, which we have proved to be less than or equal to 2k in the first one. Now we will check what is the equal. Okay, now what is given to us? Since mod of f of x less than or equals to k, no doubt for all x in the given interval a to b. Therefore, one can say f of x lies between minus k to plus k. Now we want to introduce the values of W1 and mi in this discussion. Can anyone tell me the value? Relation, sorry, not value. What is the relation between W1 and mi we have established? Less than or equals to? Whether I am audible?
Greater than equal to, ma'am.
W1 and mi greater or equal?
Less equal, ma'am.
Let us recall. Here in the theory we have discussed. No? Mi is greater or equal by W1. W1 is less than or equals to mi. Na? With the help of example also we have discussed. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, W1 is less than or equals to mi. This is known to us. What is the relation between mi and k? Mi is least upper bound. This is arbitrary upper bound. The least value is always less equal by arbitrary value. And here also the same relation. I will not go in much detail. Now again we are interested in finding the value of W1 minus mi. Again we will try to break the inequality into two parts and we will try to find out the value. For the first inequality we have is minus k less than or equals to W1 and mi less than or equals to k. Mi less than or equals to k. Is that fine? If I add, what will happen? Minus k plus mi less than or equals to W1 plus k. Okay. Then what is the value of W1 minus mi? Let us shift terms accordingly. Therefore, this is W1 minus mi. W1, oh, sorry, mi I have to take on the right. K I will shift to the left, therefore this is minus k. Mi I will shift on the right, therefore W1 minus mi. And now what we have obtained? W1 minus mi is greater or equal by 2k. Is that fine? Let me call this as statement number 5. And what I will do? I will write similarly for W2 minus k less than or equals to W2 minus mi. And I will call this as equation number 6. Now what I will do? Putting the values of 5 and 6 in this equation number 4. Okay? Putting 5 and 6. what this 4 becomes? UP star F minus UPF. Now it becomes greater equal, right? Greater equal by minus 2k into zeta minus xi minus 1, right? Both the inequalities are not coming on the same page. This we are replacing greater equal by minus 2k. This is greater equal minus 2k into zeta minus xi minus 1 added with minus 2k xi minus zeta. Xi minus zeta. If you have a doubt, you can ask me. If you stop me at any time, you can ask. Now what we will do? We will take minus 2k common and we will write the remaining terms. And again, if we observe zeta get cancel and we remain with minus 2k into xi minus 1. But that xi minus 1 is delta xi. And again, we can replace this delta xi is greater equal by minus delta xi rather, right? No? Delta xi is less than or equals to mu, we know. But here we have minus delta xi. Therefore, minus delta xi is greater equal by minus 1. This minus delta xi will be replaced by minus mu. Right? Okay. Therefore, we have obtained UP star F is greater equal by UPF minus 2k mu. Rather, it is 1 times 2k mu. Why we are writing 1 times 2k mu? Because we have taken only 1 point extra in the given partition. Therefore, by repeating above reasoning same, okay. For now, supposing that each additional point is introduced one by one, comma, by repeating the above reasoning p times, we get what we will get? UP star F is greater equal by UPF. Instead of 1 times, it is p times 2k mu. We require this with the result. Okay, minus 2pk mu. Okay, and what is the left hand side? Yeah. Therefore, these are the number of, this is the actual quantity by which your upper sum can decrease with respect to the refinement, and this is what the meaning of the corollary. Because the main theorem tells us only that upper sum decreases and lower sum increases. But this corollary is giving us the exactly the amount by which, okay, not exactly rather, it's an amount by which it can decrease or it can increase. How lower sum can increase and upper sum can decrease. Okay, and hence it is the proof of the corollary of the previous theorem. Any doubt with the proof?
No, ma'am.
If no, we will go to the next theorem. Okay. Now next theorem is very easy to prove and understand as well. Okay. Next theorem says that whatever is the partition, every lower sum must be less equal by every upper sum. Statement is for any two partitions P1 and P2, prove that. What to prove? L P1 is less than or equals to U P2 here. Okay, that is no upper sum can ever be less than any lower sum. Any lower sum. This is quite but obvious now. Why? Because we have studied already with the geometrical interpretation that the lower sum is below the curve and upper sum is above the curve. Whatever is the partition, where your lower sum is going to lie? This is going to lie below curve. And where is your upper sum going to lie? This is above curve. Therefore, whatever is the partition, different partition though you take, then also for those different partition, upper sum always going to lie above the curve and lower sum is always going to lie below the curve. Therefore, one can say that no upper sum can be less than any lower sum. To prove the result, what we will do? We will take the common refinement of both the partitions. Therefore, here I will write let P star be the common refinement. How we are writing common refinement of two partitions? Can anyone tell me common refinement of both? And P star should be
Intersection. By taking intersection.
P1, P2. But if you take the intersection, it will not be a refinement. No? Points will
But
decrease
common-
in the intersection. We want to increase the points in the intersection. Correct? But if we take the intersection of these two, it will not be a common refinement. Actually, while defining refinement, we have discussed this point. If we have two different partitions, how to take their common refinement? Let me show you. See here. These are the two partitions of the given interval AB. This is first partition P1. Here I have marked these two points. P2 if I have marked. Right. Then if I take P1 union P2, what will be the number of points in between A and B? If I take union, there will be in all 2 plus 3. 5 points extra. No? 5 points will be there total in A to B. And this we are finding by taking union. And this union, whether it is refinement of P1, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll take one example. If it is still a confusion, I will take one small example. To tell you why intersection will not be there, I'll change the color of my pen to give the example. Okay, see. Suppose this is the real line and we are taking the partition of the interval say 1 to 10. Okay. In P1, let us take the points which are even numbers 2, 4, 6 and 8. Right. Let us take another partition P2. Right. In which I will consider odd points 3, 5, 7, 9. Whether both are the different partitions of the same interval 1 to 10? Yes. Then what is the intersection of these two?
0.
No, it is not 0. There are 2 points.
1 and 10 are common.
110.
110 are
1
common.
and 10 are the 2 points. Therefore, if I take the intersection, whether number of points are increased or decreased. Correct. Or suppose I have taken here one more point, say 4. Then what is one more point coming in the intersection? 1, 4, 10. Right. But still, whether this is the refinement of P1 or whether it is a refinement of P2,
No, ma'am.
no, it is not. Therefore, if I want to take the common refinement of both the partitions, what I have to take? I have to take
Union.
the union. Therefore, how many points will be there? 1, 2, 3, all the points will be there, no? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Now one can say that this will be the refinement of P1 and refinement of P2. Therefore, if I want to take the common refinement of these two partitions, how should I take the common refinement P star? P1 union P2. Right? P1 union P2. Okay. Now the proof of this statement is in one line. How? Okay. What we want to prove LP1F is less than or equals to UP2F. Therefore, I will start with LP1F. Okay. But by the theorem, okay, may I say this is less than or equals to LP star F?
Yes, ma'am.
Right now? But LP star F is always less equal by UP star F? Lower sum is always less equal by upper sum with respect to same partition. No? And this upper sum is less than or equals to UP2F by the theorem. Right? Hence the proof. How to write this? By using theorem LP1F is less than or equals to LP star F. Lower sum with respect to partition is increased. Okay. Therefore, let me call this as 1. But what we know? Lower sum is always less equal by upper sum. Why? Because lower sum is again by theorem UP star F is less than or equals to UP2F.
UPF.
Because P star is a requirement of P2. Therefore, let me call it as statement number 3. Therefore, from 1 to 3, what we have obtained? LP1F is less equal by
UP2F.
correct. Hence the proof. Okay. Now we will go to corollary of this. What is the corollary? For any bounded function, this is what the relation we have proved with respect to sum. Any lower sum is less than or equals to any upper sum. Now we will just extend this to the integrals, and we are going to prove any lower integral is less than or equals to any upper integral. Let me write this statement for any bounded function here. Prove that. What to prove? See, lower sum, lower integral I have to write. Lower integral f dx is less than or equals to upper integral f dx. Okay, this is just an extension of the theorem. Any lower sum is less than or equals to any upper sum is now extended to any lower sum is less than or equals to any upper sum. Now what we will do, as it is the corollary of the theorem, we will write the statement by previous theorem. L P1F is less than or equals to U P2F. Lower sum with respect to P1 is less than or equals to upper sum with respect to P2. This is what we have proved. Now, lower sum we want to convert it to lower integral. Upper sum we want to convert it to upper integral. How we are obtaining lower integral from lower sum? What is the definition of lower integral? Students, lower integral. This is supremum of set of
LPF, where P is partition.
good, and upper integral is
Infima of UPF.
good, infimum of UP. Yeah. Therefore, if I want to find the lower integral on the left hand side, I have to go for supremum. Okay. And if I want to go for upper integral, I have to go for infimum. Now, what the job we will do? We will keep the partition P2 fixed, and we will vary the partitions on the left hand side. Okay. How many inequalities will be constructed like this? Suppose P1 I will write. First, this is the inequality with respect to P1. One more inequality I will write for P2, P3, P4 and so on. How many inequalities? And every inequality, every lower sum is less equal by UP2F. Right side we will keep constant. Okay. And only we will change the partitions on the left hand side. But still the some lower sums corresponding to every partition is less than by UP2F. Is that clear? Okay. And by this, what will be, there will be infinite inequalities will be obtained. but every inequality tells that it will be less equal by UP2. Then if I construct or if I will consider all the left parts in one set, then may I say UP2F will work as an upper bound for the set? Is this point clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
By
ma'am.
keeping P2 fixed, by keeping P2 fixed and taking LUB over all partitions P we get. Okay, see first what I will write? I will write the set of lower sum where P is partition. Okay, and this set is less equal by U P2 here. Is that fine? Then what I will do? I will take the suprema of this set. If this is an upper bound of the set, what is the relation between least upper bound, that is suprema, and upper bound? Yes, what is the relation? This
Less equal.
UP2F is less equal. This UP2F is upper bound. And what this is? Least upper bound. The notice the relation between upper bound and least upper bound. It is less equal. No? Okay. And what is the suprema of LPF? Lower integral. Correct now? And we have proved this to be less equal by UP2. Yeah. Okay. Now what we will do? Left hand side is fixed. Now we will vary the partitions P2 on the right. Vary the partitions P2 in upper sum. Okay. And if I vary these partitions, every upper sum will be greater or equal by this. Means this term, that is the lower integral, is treated as the lower bound. Therefore, may I write, okay, this is less equal by yes, every term of, actually here we cannot write less equal. Every term is less than or equal. Therefore, here I will write is an upper bound of. Okay. Look into a highlighted now. The upper bound is UP2. Yeah. Okay. Similarly, here what will happen? We are going to vary the partitions P2, and we know the lower sum is this. And if I take the infima, what will happen? This will be arbitrary lower bound, and what will be the infima? Infima means greatest lower bound, right? Of the set UPF, where P is okay. What is infima of upper sums?
Greatest lower bound.
Upper integral, right? Hence we have proved lower integral is less equal by upper integral always. If you have a doubt in this statement, you can ask. Two corollaries and one theorem we have completed in today's lecture. If you have a query or a doubt in today's lecture, you can ask. Whether anyone having a query?
No,
If
ma'am.
not, we will stop for today. In the next lecture, we will go for another important theorem called as Darboux theorem. With the help of this Darboux theorem, it will be easy for us to establish the condition of integrability. Because always it is difficult for us to go with this lengthy process. Now, what is the process to check the integrability of the function? To check first to find out lower sum, then upper sum, then go for finding lower integral, then upper integral, right? and then check whether these two are equal or not. If equal, then integrable. If not equal, then not integrable. Therefore, instead of this, one should have a necessary and sufficient condition for the integrability of the given function. Therefore, in the next lecture, we will prove a Darboux theorem, which will help us to prove the condition of integrability. Okay. Thank you for watching today's lecture.